Совпадение, не думаю.
Я снимаю нахуй!
Да, это жестко.
А ну, покажи. Давай. Да.
Bruh. Bruh, 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 bruh. Bruh. Bruh.
Цель поражена.
Торпеда прямо по курсу. Вражеский линкор уничтожен.
Hello guys, my name is BobLyn and welcome back to another video. This is Cruisers of Blitz Moskva and have I been waiting to make this video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the montage. I think it's one of my best ones without gloating. I really enjoyed making it, and the music is made by Cosmo Wave. You can find him on YouTube and it's absolutely amazing hard bass. So let's get into the meat of this beautiful ship right here. This is the original tier 10 cruiser that we had for the Soviet line that the Nevsky and Petropavlovs replaced. I went with the advanced gun director instead of internal bulkhead because you want more range. This is a gun ship. These guns are laser beams. And yeah, I went with that instead of the internal bulkhead. For the camouflage, I have the historical and unfortunately not the space camo, but this one gives very good gun characteristics, so if you can afford it, it's really good to get. I have completed all the battle honors for this ship, and you can see I have over 1 million XP on this thing. And you know, this is a great ship. It's one of my most played, and this was the fire battle honor, man. That was nasty. All right, so for my equipment, I am running main battery mod 1 because I don't feel like you need precision mod for sure. This thing is precise, you get precise aiming too, and the turrets turn dreadfully slow, so that's why I went with that. And reload you don't need, in my opinion, at all. So for the second slot, I went with propulsion, and you know, that's pretty standard. It's a very standard cruiser build, as you guys can see, as I went steering in the third slot. Standard cruiser build, very normal. The Moskva doesn't really need, you know, special equipment. It can run on standard, and you see I'm running Nikolai Kuznetsov. I love this commander on it, and he buffs a lot of good things. So we of course take underwater protection expert, which you should on the normal line. Torpedo alert, again, I think you should take that too. And then we have artillery maintenance plus, which, you know, just boosts it a little bit more. We can have, you know, more dispersion, and we have the sixth sense, which is a blessing on this ship. It's really nice. I went into survivalist and, you know, boosted both my heals instead of going for precise aiming skills. I don't feel like you need to boost it. It's already accurate by itself. This thing, you know, Soviet guns are very accurate. These are two 20mm guns. And of course we went with Adrenaline Rush, Demolition Expert, and we have an Honor Seeker Plus. This build right here is really nice, and Kuznetsov with his final skill, as you will see here, reduces all shell damage by 5%. So if you want a really cracked build with Soviet bias in the middle name, this is a really good build for you, I would say. Alright, so there's not much else to do than hop into the first game and see how it goes. Oh, first I'm gonna show you guys my stats, because some of you guys mentioned you'd like that. So let's find the Moskva. There it is. We have 348 battles, and this was my third tier 10 I got back then, and 64% win rate is pretty good. And I mean, the Moskva could have way better stats, and it's definitely a ship that it can get you a very good win rate if you just master it. It's pretty easy to play, in my opinion, and if you ask me, it's the pinnacle of the 3 super cruisers we have. So the first game here, we're playing on Hourglass, and we are against 2 Minotaurs, which is very nice, and a couple of cruisers, and there's a Republic. Now these battleships, man, Republic especially, is pretty easy for Moskva to pen. You won't have any trouble. Montana, it's you know, you get some non-pens sometimes, but most of the time it's going to be sufficient damage. Columbos are easy as well, and most of the time in Moskva you won't have any trouble damaging a BB, and you should definitely stick to AP. As most of you probably know, this is an AP ship, but for some reason the battle honors, like you saw, you have to get 300 fires, which makes 0 sense to me. Why couldn't it be, I don't know, 150 citadels instead? Because you get a lot of those in this thing. Even without APCS, you would get a ton of citadels. So this battle here I chose, well, because it's high damage, but getting high damage in Moskva is not really that hard, in my opinion. But the game here it showcases how this thing can both brawl, tank, and disengage very easily. Now, granted, I do have Nikolai Kuznetsov on this thing, which, like you saw, reduces my shell damage, incoming shell damage by 5%, which is flat out all shells. Very powerful. You could put that on Kremlin. Ideally, that would be best, but I don't have Kremlin, so this is what I put it on. Now, you saw that that's a Citadel on a Republic, and this Minotaur, I don't know if he's going to get Citadel, but he's going to get damaged, that's for sure. You see the shells, they're fast, they are very precise most of the time, and they reload quite fast. The reload hangs around just 10 seconds, which is, you know, faster than Petro, faster than Stalingrad. And you know, you have the same caliber as Petro, I'm pretty sure. Petro's 220, right? And this thing is 220. And you see devastating hits. And Minotaur won't really stand a chance, because Minotaur's big thing, you know, for dodging is it can maneuver insanely well. That's what it does, and that's a Citadel crisis for Minotaur there. Easy Citadel crisis, no effort needed really. But the Minotaur doesn't really benefit from its great maneuverability and handling, because these shells are so fast. So that's one of the great things about the Soviet line in general, is you will have an easy time hitting your target compared to, let's say, the Worcester line or Des Moines or something like that. So we're gonna retreat here, because as you can see, we have a DD flanking around the island. We do have our Smolensk still here, but it's pretty much the whole team and the battleship fleet on this side of the flank. So I'm not about to deal with that. I'm gonna sail a little bit further away and avoid as much damage as possible. Here we see Commodore coming out in his Grosavoy, and I'm, you know, pretty sure he's launched torpedoes, so that's why you should always stay as parallel as possible, you know, while still retaining DPM on target, if you can. We don't know if this Grosvenor has launched torpedoes. He did look like a guy who launched torpedoes, but we can't be sure, so I will never take that chance if I notice it. As you saw there, the salvo on that Republic, it just looked insanely accurate. It was all hits, guys, 9 shells. So the Moskva is, like I said, it's a laser beam. It's, for me at least, I know a lot of people would say the Stalingrad is better. I don't think I agree. I think the Moskva just, it's a little bit more maneuverable. Remember, the Tier 9 used to be the Dmitry Donskoy, which is a light cruiser. Kind of a light cruiser, right? It's still pretty huge, but this thing has maneuverability, whereas the Petro and the Stalingrad are kind of bricky, kind of huge. I've also spec'd into maneuverability, that's true. But this thing is, it's more like a cruiser than the other two, in my opinion. It's bridging the gap between heavy and battle cruiser, definitely. So now we're pushing in and we're with our team. That's one thing you gotta remember, guys. If you're all alone and your team is not there to support you, you gotta get away from that flank. It's not worth it to sacrifice your life for, you know, damage. So we can easily see the Minotaur here. Like, I'm a big advocate for shooting into smokes because these guys think they're safe and they tend to sit full broadside. I mean, there's been a lot of Minotaur sunk in this video. In the montage and in this too. Now, man, they're suffering. I guess it just goes to show that the Moskva is amazing at dealing with light cruisers. Now here we're in a pickle, and this is why I chose this gameplay. We're in the middle of the map. We have mispositioned a little bit, in my opinion. Well, we've mispositioned quite a lot. There's a Holland, a Minotaur, and a Hindenburg, all, you know, ready to kill us. I'm not sure the Hindenburg has range, but we're gonna get out of here. So the Holland torpedoes are incoming, and I guess we're gonna eat one. No, well, we're gonna dodge, nice. But then I do something insanely stupid, which I don't know why I did. I decided to, you know, I was greedy here. I was really just greedy. That's the, you know, the explanation. I wanted to get this Holland, and I was close to 100k, so I start trying to turn my ship into this cliff here, like I do. It's a pretty, you know, effective trick, except if you get nudged in between like a cliff and it looks like you're starting to go into that cliff. It's not a good idea. Now luckily we did get out, but I was kind of concerned at that point because we're behind on ships and we need to make a play if we want to win. So luckily we got out. Now this is the actual misplay of this video, and I still wanted to include this because although we misplay, we are alive for a long time, and you know, that's why I love this ship. It's super tanky as well, and if you bow tank like this, you know, it's gonna take a lot to kill you. It definitely is a worthy tactic if you want to get somebody down, especially if you're against a Colombo, I mean, or a, let's say, Vermont. Maybe not a Republic. Don't rush a Republic like that, or Montana, because they have rapid reload, guys. Think about that. Colombo 30-second reload, and Vermont is what, it's also about around the 30-second mark, which is pretty long. Yeah, and we are gonna go down here, guys, but we did end up getting over 100k damage, and we've actually just held up the enemy team here at their base for the whole duration of the final duration of this battle here. Now I don't think we end up getting this Holland here. Oh yeah, we probably do. Yeah, we got him, I think. No, he got away. Oh, yeah, guys. It's a little bit since I recorded this gameplay, but I guess we're gonna check it out. There's 27 seconds left, and I'm pretty sure we win this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have saved it because it's Cruisers of Blitz, guys. It's a little bit more, you know, we gotta pump out those 100k games. So, how many of you please in the comments? I would like to know how many of you actually have the Moskva and had it before, so you got it for free. Because it was a free tech tree ship before, but now they changed it to a premium instead of, and then we got the Petropavlovsk and the Nevsky, which in my opinion, the Nevsky is an amazing ship. The Petro could use some love because it really gets outshined by the Moskva here, really does. So on to game 2, and as you can see, there's a lot more steel in this game. We got 2 GKs, a Black Republic, Stalingrad, Smolensk, Holland, and a CV. So in the difference between these two games was really that in the first one I was the one pushing and paid for it, which is something you shouldn't really be doing in this thing. That's why I wanted to show it also. You should be hanging back with the ship and not be the one taking punching. You can take punches for sure. That's what is also great about this ship. But you're still a cruiser. You gotta remember that. This game, though, they are pushing in heavily, and we have to stop that push. And it's a very close game and nail biter for sure. So I wanted to showcase this. But how do I feel about the Moskva in this meta today? How does it fit? Well, to be honest, if I was to make a tier maker, and put in the comments, guys, if you want me to try to make a tier maker like Sly has, because you know, I have different opinions. You guys probably do as well, and that's why they're so funny. Those kinds of videos, and interesting is because you can have a great debate about the placements. But I would place the Moskva at S tier. I can't remember what you did, Sly, but I would imagine you put it somewhere along the same lines. In my opinion, in the right hands, a Moskva player can devastate the whole team, because even versus Stalingrad that has way bigger guns, 305s, I'm pretty sure, you still do tons of damage. Remember, he's also just a cruiser. Now, he's way bigger, way more, you know, cumbersome, slow. We're also kind of slow and cumbersome, but not as much as him. So you gotta keep that in mind, and that's why I prefer this. Against DDs, this thing is a beast at long range. You get 1,000 damage per hit if you are lucky and, you know, aim precisely, I guess. Sometimes you get those wonky 248 damage per hit and you overpen. That happens. But, you know, generally at long range, 7 kilometers plus, you're going to deal a ton of damage with your AP, and you can take a destroyer from full HP to close to half in one salvo. Now, if you notice here, we have 2 GKs pushing the flank. Now, is this a smart play? Well, we'll find out. While the CV is destroying my my Colombo, and some weird stuff happened. My friend Klisterkarl is whom I've been playing with. He is lighting up these GKs, and the first one here seems to not be doing too great. I initially wanted to stick to HE. My tactic, or our tactic, was against BBs. I would, you know, start out using HE, help him light a fire. When they damage con, he was gonna, you know, use his rapid reload, spam them, get a fire, maybe 3, and I would, you know, have swapped to AP, because the AP, even versus a GK, if you get that correct salvo, that perfect salvo, it's great. And here you see me swap to the HE. Now, this is something we can obviously do because we are on comms together, we can speak together. But if you want to help some of your DDs, sorry, not DDs, light cruisers, you can still use HE because it does a considerable amount of damage and the fire chance is not too bad. Now, I'm still going to stick with the first thing I said, that is, this thing is an AP ship, and I would rarely use HE. Now, again, talking about DDs, when you have to play against those, you would use HE at close ranges, obviously, but, I mean, it's not always that I actually change, and look at that, an instant triple fire. I'm sorry, my friend, I meant to set you up with fires, but, yeah, we got lucky, I guess. So we're just gonna leave that GK alone. I mean, he's trying to find a new map, and we're gonna let him, no problem, dude. We're just gonna go in and kill your team and cap the base. It's no big deal, really. So while he's burning away, we still have his team to take care of. We are not that far ahead. They are doing good in cap right now. They have the cap, but we're gonna try to take that back. Now here we try to go for a pot shot at the Holland, but for some reason this GK, he took out my rudder. And this is very annoying. So yeah, the GK man, even though he is all the way out there, he's still managing to be a nuisance. But we're just gonna sit behind this island. I am still very much healthy, and we can get some pot shots at the Stalingrad, who decided to push in and try to cap. Now, this is something that I had a lot of trouble with also while playing the Moskva for this video. You know, your BBs wouldn't be pushing in, and this is not to flame anybody from this team. I'm just stating the obvious, to be honest. If the BBs are leaving the cruisers to cap and tank like this, yeah, a Stalingrad and Moskva, they can do it for a while, but they are gonna lose ultimately. I had to do this multiple times because there were some other ideas than you know, battling. Maybe they wanted to find new lands. That's cool, man. But maybe play another game then. I mean, Sea of Thieves. It's a pretty cool game where you can discover Minecraft, that you can sail in that game too. Just joking. But the Stalingrad had to die for that because these two GKs decided to just leave the team. So that's something you gotta take advantage of. When you see an isolated target in a cruiser or any ship for that matter, take advantage of it. The two GKs were isolated and now this Republic is isolated. So we're just gonna take advantage of this, and if you look at the game, we're not quite ahead. I mean, we are even in kills now, but it's gonna get nifty here very soon. It's gonna get very close. And there you see at the sub 7 kilometers, this AP is just not as good as further away. Of course, Holland Torps are very difficult to dodge, so we eat 3 or 4. I think we eat 4 actually, and have to use our DCP here. So any fires we get now is pretty bad. There's only 1 minute left on the clock, and the Smolensk has now got us in his sights. This is the worst situation I could imagine, because now we get a double fire, and we're most likely, I mean, I could imagine get a triple fire as well. It is a Smolensk and a Holland blasting me. But you are still Moskva, and this Smolensk has to respect me, because I can easily nuke him. As you see, a Citadel is 2k damage. So if a Smolensk is harassing you, just make sure he knows that you're not just a battleship. You have a very fast reload. You know, 10 seconds with Adrenaline Rush now. Under 10 seconds if you see that. You can deal a ton of damage, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. I know this is a premium now, but this is, if not one of the best tier 10 cruisers there is in this game, in my opinion. This thing can do a lot of things. It's not the best destroyer hunter, but if you manage it right, if you position correctly, you will nuke destroyers at the right range. As we win the game on time, and we did actually survive. I thought we were gonna die. So that's the Moskva, guys, and I really hope you enjoyed those games. I love playing this ship. I have always enjoyed Moskva, and it's gonna be one of my favorites. No doubt. To be honest, guys, it's actually over Petro for me, but that's because it's good, right? The Petro is pretty bad, so we gotta give it some love. Alright, guys, I really want to thank you for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, much appreciated. I would love to see your comments or your thoughts on Moskva if you have it. Other than that, there's not much to say, other than my name has been BobLyn, signing out.